What's good, Commanders fans? Happy Sunday. The Washington Commanders have signed tight end Kaden Smith. They must be concerned with Logan Thomas' injury. I'm not going to say concerned, but they're going to be cautious with it. And this is the thing I said all season. I was like, we definitely need to bring in a tight end, whether it's to sign one or draft one. I thought it was inexcusable not to at least sign one or draft one in the offseason. We know we did sign Brandon Dillon, but he, is a UDFA guy that's been on practice squads. I don't even think Brandon Dillon's ever played in a real game, to be honest with you. So Kaden Smith, I think it's a solid signing. He hasn't played since he's been out of the league for like 2 years or something like that. So, of course, Ron is going to bargain bin shop as much as he can. It's not like you're going to sign a big-name tight end at this point anyway. I want to say O.J. Howard is available, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong about that. But Kaden Smith has not played since 2021, so he did not play in the 2022 season. He is the guy that caught 2 touchdowns in the Chase Young Bowl the last time we were the Skins back in 2019, where they beat us in overtime. I want to say, was it who was the coach? It was Old Man Callahan, where he should have went for 2 with Case Keenum, and we could have won that game, but I didn't really care because I wanted Chase Young at the time. But Kaden Smith had 2 touchdowns in that game. He had the game-winning touchdown where I'm not going to say he cooked Landon Collins, but he basically put a little shake on Landon Collins and caught a touchdown over the middle. It was like 35-41. They won that game. The Giants won the Chase. They basically lost the Chase Young Bowl. We won the Chase Young Bowl. But Kaden Smith, he had a good rookie season. 6th-round pick out of Stanford. 6'5", 249 pounds, 26 years old. He had 31 catches for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns in his rookie season. 6 games started and only 9 games played. 73.8 catch percentage, which is pretty darn good. Then his sophomore season, he had 18 catches for 112 yards and started 12 games but played only 15 games. So his production kept going down year by year. And then 2021, he played in 4 games, 4 starts in 9 games, 3 catches for 33 yards and 1 touch. And no touchdowns at all. So I don't know why he got progressively worse or his production went down. That rookie year looked good. If we can get his rookie year production and Cole Turner plays the way that he played on Friday, I love the way that Cole Turner played, man. If Cole Turner plays like that, then if Logan Thomas is going to have an injury, kind of frequently out and missing games, missing practice, whatever during the season, then Cole Turner can definitely help out with that. And Cole Turner had a really nice block in the game on Friday as well. So I was impressed with Cole Turner. The 4th and 3 catch, a couple of catches. Somebody did take the ball out of his hands, but his knee was on the ground. So I was thoroughly impressed with Cole Turner. Not a big crazy game, but for the production and the snaps that he had, I thought he was very impactful. And I think him and Sam Howell will definitely have a really good connection as well. So Kaden Smith went to Stanford. I'll wrap it up on him real quick because, he's a low-key guy. He might fool around and make the roster just because we don't know what's going on with Logan Thomas. I do personally, if I had to guess, I think Logan would be ready for week 1, but you just can't count on him. You look at last year after the torn ACL, and he's getting older, man, and he's just – I've been saying this the whole season, honestly, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with Logan Thomas. At Stanford, he had a good career at Stanford. 5 touchdowns in his sophomore year, he had 5 touchdowns. His junior year, he had 47 catches for 635 yards. So he had some legitimate production coming out of Stanford. He ran a 4.9 40-yard dash, 32-inch vertical jump, and 15 bench press reps, which is not bad at all. I want to say his performance in the Pac-12 championship game that year, he called the eyes of scouts with 4 catches and 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. He earned 2nd-team All-Pac-12 honors and being named a Mackey Award finalist by catching 47 catches for 635 yards. So he had a good college career, and he had a solid rookie year. He had a good rookie year. Strength, slightly above average NFL starting size, has inline experience in pro run game concepts, displays some grit and fight to stay connected to blocks, able to catch through collisions, very physical at the top of his routes, understands how to leverage in breaking routes, quick to make himself catch ready. Now, he is slow as molasses, but he knows how to get open. He knows how to get open in the soft spots of the zone, and I like that. And he provides a little bit of yak ability. Not much. He really is just as slow as Logan Thomas. The 4.9 40-yard dash, which is pretty darn slow. But for tight ends, you don't have to run a super fast 40, to be honest with you. So, but he had 8 catches against the Eagles for 98 yards, where they lost 34-17. He had 3 catches for 38 yards against Miami. 6 catches for 70 yards against Green Bay, and a 31-13 loss. So the Giants were awful that year, but he had some good production right next to Evan Ingram. So I think this is a low-key good signing. I think it's a low-key solid signing. I do have to look at some of the free agent tight ends that were available, honestly. But once again, there's just not much available. And one thing I did want to say, I didn't say this in the preseason game. Yes, Sam Howell, the touchdown drive was against the second-string defensive line. not worried about it, but I do have to acknowledge that Zadarius Smith was not playing. Zadarius Smith was getting the best of Andrew Wiley. And they were struggling. They were struggling against that offensive line. I thought against that defensive line, the offensive line was, but I thought Sam did a heck of a job. I really do. But I did have to acknowledge that because I didn't say that in my recap video. But like I said, I wouldn't take anything away from Sam on that. If the offensive line could give him 1 or 2 more seconds, or Andrew Wiley not having a holding penalty, I think he definitely could have had a touchdown drive because he scampered up the field on a 3rd and 8. Made a nice pass to Curtis Samuel. He was making some good plays against the first string defense. So I don't want people to take away from Sam's touchdown drive just because it was the second string defense. But of course you do have to acknowledge it as well. All right, so I'm going to go over some of the PFF grades here, some of the studs and duds from the preseason game really quickly. What stood out to me? Now Quan Martin, he has been liking tweets and kind of, he didn't go back and forth with any fans, but he's been liking a bunch of tweets, which is, I'm not going to say I don't like it, but for him, as a player, one thing you should not be doing is getting on Twitter right after a game. That's the last thing you need to do, especially after a bad game. Because if you're going to look on there after every game, it's not a lot of nice things are going to be said about you. Now, what you got to do, of course, is go out there and play, focus on the game, and do that. But, because if you have a bad game, the last thing I would do is go on Twitter. It's the most toxic place you can go on. There's trolls on Twitter. People don't have a profile picture. They're just people on Twitter just to troll you, honestly, and talk trash. Now, a lot of the comments, honestly, the tweets that I saw were respectful comments. Like, nobody was calling him trash. I think some people were just saying he have a slow game, just struggling out there. Nobody made any personal attacks on him. Now, like some Eagles fans with Jalen Reagor, some people definitely made some personal attacks. And Nelson Aguilar, Philly fans, we've seen that before where they've gone back and forth with the fans. And nobody direct messaged Quan Martin either. We've seen Eagles fans DM the players, Giants fans DM and Kadarius Toney. So nobody from the Washington fan base took it that far. I am a Quan Martin fan, but for him, what I would suggest, stay off Twitter, my guy. You don't need the fans' validation to feel like you played good. Go out there and do what you're supposed to do. He did have a rough game, but that's his first game. He's a rookie. So he's going to get better. So that's all I got to say about Quan Martin. But him liking tweets and stuff like that, you're going to be liking a lot of tweets throughout your career. If that's your plan to do, you're going to be liking a lot of bad tweets about yourself. All right. Cole Turner, I thought he was a stud. 80.9 PFF grade. Mitchell Tinsley, 76.3. Chris Rodriguez impressed me a lot. He had some tough runs. Had about 8 runs for like 30-something yards. I thought he had a really good preseason debut. Byron Pringle, and I always say this, take PFF with a grain of salt. But especially with the preseason because there's limited snaps. Sam Howell, 70.2 PFF grade. Cole Turner had a 2.3 pass block grade. I thought he had a nice run blocking. I thought he did a good job run blocking. Andrew Wiley, he had like a 26-point-something pass blocking grade. Yeah, his pass blocking grade was in the 20s. And that's probably because of the holding and the safety that he gave up as well. So that's probably why they gave him such a bad grade. He had a 45.4. Chris Paul, 65.4. Chase Young, he graded out pretty well, but his tackling grade was like a 20 or something like that. Yeah, he had a 24.2 tackling grade, probably because of his tackling Deshaun Watson. So that makes sense for sure. Who else stood out? One of the top players for the defensive side of the ball was Christian Holmes. Of course, he was the highest with 91.8. He was just out there striking and hitting people left and right. He really was. 72.5 tackling grade. Derek Forrest graded pretty high. He barely played. Percy Butler with an 82.0 and a really highly graded. Montez with a 78.2. Probably because of that big tackle that he had. Where's Forbes at 71.7 and then a 69.9 tackling grade, which is ridiculous to me. It should have been like a 99 or a 100. Who else stood out? Deron Pay 77.3. Khalid Hudson 66.0. Cody Barton was pretty darn bad with his PFF grade. It was a 25.1. It's probably because of the reverses that they were doing. They were cooking our linebackers for some of the runs and the reverses that they had. So I can see why with Cody Barton's grade being so low. KJ Henry 40.4. But I had the list. But once the season starts, I'll definitely go down the list for sure. Just look at some of the offensive line. Sam Cosmi graded pretty well, 64.7, 65.4 for Chris Paul. So Chris Paul did a good job for the limited snaps that he had because he probably is going to start at left guard. Cornelius Lucas 67.6, and Mason Brooks had a 30.1. He was the worst graded offensive lineman out there. So, and I've been rooting for him. So, but like I said, I wouldn't take PFF a lot of stock into it. So, all right, you guys let me know what you guys think about the signing and about the PFF grades as well. Hello, Commanders. Peace.